So timestamps exist in case you just want to skip forward, but I mean, we are just going to go over to the normal things, and if nothing else, like I always try to mention anyway, these videos exist if for no other reason than data. For myself, if no one else. But in case you want to see someone else racing, well, yeah, here we are. I think this is I always forget. I should just remember these, my stat distribution or the scores, something to help me recognize that this is the trainee I'm using, or the Musume I'm using, whatever vocab you want to say. But yeah, otherwise, what I normally do is skip right to the final spurt, or just skip it in general, the race. But I think for the sake of, you know, data's sake, of a drop in the ocean of data, we'll just watch the whole race. This does, if nothing else, give me time to talk about other things. I'll mention after the timestamp because, well, otherwise you won't hear. Either I cut it into a timestamp or I start talking before the timestamp and there's no context. So I'd rather give context as the game loads. Yes, I could just edit this as part of an actual video, but I think a stream-like video also makes sense as well, especially if things to talk about. But as we start here, I just realized, so I did a recording within the last 12 hours in which I was doing an El Condor Pasa run. The problem was, I did not need to, I was trying to win the wrong race to fulfill the special mission. If you didn't know right now, at least at the time of this recording, there are special missions out right now, and one of them is the Haishin Daishoten, I believe, and I was entering the Tokyo Daishoten for whatever reason. So yeah, the Hanshin Daishoten is late March. Let me look at my notes. Late March senior year. It's a G2 race. That's a long race, but those are pretty much the conditions. I think it's a turf race as well. For some reason, I was thinking of the Tokyo Daishoten, which is a dirt race that's medium, in which only El Condor Pasa can run. Now, the odd thing about that is, while I failed that recording, and I did get that race, but it was the wrong race, not Hanshin Tokyo Daishoten. But the race in which I failed and thought that I failed the special mission for that recording, I got onsen run as El Condor Pasa. So I don't know if that video is going to come out, but if it does, it does. If it doesn't, well, shrug, because I was also talking about how I like my stat distributions as well, and they're pretty much, if they're a medium or long turf racer, they're pretty much what, as you see for Gold Ship here. I've made some adjustments so I can try to hit 600 power as well, but otherwise, if you didn't know, as we enter the final spurt in a hot moment here, my preferred distribution is usually 600 speed, 600 stamina, 600 power, but yeah, as we actually enter the final spurt, I always have to time these due to the BGM change, but it seems like we're stuck in the back, so yeah, we're not going to be able to pull forward ahead in time. This is way too much distance to make up over the next 400 meters, so unless Symboli Rudolf just loses all of her stamina, but this is the legend races are pretty consistent in terms of the RNG of your rivals, aside from, you know, their own skills proccing and whatnot, but pretty sure we lose here, unfortunately. I think I've only won 3 out of the, well, now 7 races so far, but I can't remember. Maybe 4 out of 6. I want to hope for 4 out of 7 now. We did get second, but that we don't get anything for that, so on to the next one we go. But yeah, just one last note. I would normally just edit this part and move on to the next race, but I think also just for fluidness' sake, or just seeing how I go through each and every one, even though you can't really fake doing 3 legend races here on the same day, but it's ethics in another way to say it. But again, all you really have is my own. There are you know, there are reasons why I want to record in one long hole one, and that is, I think there is at least for myself, ethical. I'm not trying to accuse anyone. I'm just saying that I personally like to just record one long hole recording. But as we start here again, hopefully we don't get stuck again. We can actually talk about what's happening in the race, and that's a lot of skills to proc. Would have liked to seen that earlier, but shrug. And so I guess if we're to talk for the next 600 meters, pretty much, I do prefer to run end closer / chaser type Musume. I say chaser because that's the term from JP specifically, if I recall correctly. But I usually don't like to run pace chase. Pace chaser is probably the one I don't like to run the most of. But if I have to, if it's part of an Musume's base design, if it's part of, you know, the skill set that I acquire either through support cards available, or just the Musume herself, or in the future when we get more, it only makes sense to make them. But there are specific reasons to run girls outside of their design range or not. Usually, Uma Musume who are more flexible have most certainly a unique skill that is tied to not having to do certain things. For example, Gold Ship wants to be in the second placing to activate this skill after you reach the halfway point of the main race at some point. Otherwise, if Gold Ship is in even just half of the placements or above, she will not proc her unique skill, and so you therefore you're running without a skill essentially, which you can do, but you have to have good reason for it. There are always reasons for and against doing certain things in Uma Musume, for the most part. I'd say 95% of statements made by any trainer have a flip side to them. But yeah, there are things like, hey, you just want to increase speed, because speed affects your max speed. So if your max speed stat is lower overall, as we hopefully pass Symboli Rudolf here, then yeah, you won't be able to outspeed if both of you hit your max speed by way of power. I use the word speed a lot, but that's also to kind of jokingly emphasize how important it is. Did we just lose all of our speed when Symboli Rudolf popped a skill there? Well, we're gonna find out here. No, we should be in front. So, would be nice to at least win the majority of our races our day, and by majority I mean really just 2 out of 3, but we'll find out as we enter the last race here. Unless we get a daily sale, but we'll find out. No. I'll mention what I was going to mention right after the next race start as we get into the last one. But yeah, I am missing power. If that's another thing to note, if for no one else than myself, I'm missing power. Hey, we started a great mood out of the other 8 races. And we also have a awful mood Symboli Rudolf. So this should be a slam dunk, right? Unless a generic pulls out in front of us. I think there are literally no other unique Uma Musume in this race, but I'll have to check. Just gonna check really quickly, so give me about 10 seconds. No. So literally, it's just whoever you pick and Symboli Rudolf. Not saying a generic can't win, as you've seen from my videos, but as we get into this, yeah, if nothing else, I also wanted to mention, if for no one else than myself, that I am missing power. So, hey. Also, just noting that, just really quickly, in real life, for me, if for some reason I stop making Uma Musume videos, either for a little while or longer, I usually post something on my discussions page on this channel, on this platform, that you should probably be watching this video on. But hey, we get rushed here. We should have enough stamina for this, but this also puts us in Pace Chaser. Unless we get stuck in the back there, then funny enough, we can still proc Gold Ship's unique, but yeah, otherwise the only trouble I'm having right now until Kita-san Black's banner comes out is the topic of power, or is increasing power somehow. And I usually don't want to borrow cards, but the other side of the Kita-san Black banner, if nothing else, as we get stuck behind a bunch of Uma Musume here, is that even if I don't pull as many Kita-san Blacks as I need or want, I'm still going to be scouting for SSR or SR cards, particularly if I didn't mention it in the previous video, because it's probably a lost recording now, the El Condor Pasa Onsen video. Then yeah, just getting a bunch of uncapped SR cards will work out. I'll be happy with that too, because some of them do outperform SSRs, especially in the at least from what I believe. I have to do more research, but basically when I want to make more end closer Uma Musume, I'll work with just uncapped SRs, preferably max uncapped, but we'll see what actually happens. You need to pull forward now, Gold Ship, by the way. Otherwise, what do I use our mood for? Or I just get RNG'd, but nope, we're getting held up. You can see, because on the screen here, I'll even click here. You can't see my mouse because I disabled that OBS. Yeah, this is another so not always your stamina going down as we lose to an alpha mood Symboli Rudolf, but you could just be held up and yeah, pain happens. So this is, I think a lot of this is my lack of power at play. It would be pretty RNG for me to not have the for Gold Ship to not have the navigational skills, especially since we picked a rare skill. And I don't know if it proc though, so I guess we just lose. So mood doesn't matter, apparently, and we'll see what future Jordan decides to use as the thumbnail of this video. But otherwise, that'll be the video for today. If a daily sale doesn't happen, then we'll just move on with life, but we get a daily sale. If nothing else, I'll just close out the video now as I'm doing my clock. Looking at El Condor Pasa. But since we already have El Condor Pasa at 3 stars, I won't really, I need to save the monies. Because when I get a bunch of support cards, if not Kita-san Black, I will need the monies and the support card points as well. But yeah, if you have anything to say, if you want to give any advice, if you want to just ask any questions or see certain content for Musume specifically, or otherwise, let me know. Otherwise, I won't take up much more of your time. Thank you for watching. If you want to support me, you know what to do. If you want to get updates about my situation, this is really the only platform in which I make that known. And I will see you when I see you. Thank you for watching. Bye! Look at Guruchi here.